Good evening, what is happening YouTube? Thanks for stopping back into the channel right here with the Rust Belt Mechanic. So tonight we've got the good old Duramax back in on the channel. We're going to be doing a much needed upgrade to the truck for being able to get to some of the really cool events that I've got coming up here real soon. Now this Duramax, normally we don't think of fuel economy or anything crazy like that because it's a compound turbo 700 plus horsepower Duramax. So fuel economy exactly wasn't on the mind when I made this truck, but now that I'm going to a bunch of shows that are quite a bit of a distance away, it kind of sucks having to go only 200 miles between stops and having to get fuel. So today we're going to be going after the solution of getting a longer fuel range out of the truck, and we're going to do that by adding an auxiliary fuel tank in the bed of the truck. We got rid of our old toolbox and we're going to be putting in a new toolbox / 100-gallon fuel tank, and we're going to be coating that one in some Raptor bed liner and doing some refurbishing of an old tank that I found. So let's get into checking this out. Pups are out playing. There they go. Zoom. Round the bend, going around for turn 3. Savage is falling behind. Come on, buddy, you're getting slow. All right, enough playing around. So we got the old toolbox here. This is the one we pulled out of the truck. This is the one I've had in there for the last like 2 or 3 years. Good and all, but you know, that one's out. So I ended up picking up this one from a friend of mine. He had it in his, I believe, 2014 Dodge. He did some over-the-road trucking, picked up campers and stuff, and it's a little bit older, but hey, it's a good shell to use, and the tank part of it is all sealed up and doesn't have any leaks. So that's a big plus to that one. Now, yeah, it does have a couple little dents and dings throughout the top of it and over here, but you know what? That's cosmetic stuff. It's not really all that bad. But once we get into here, we'll come to find out that he did back into it or put something into it once, so we do have a bit of a crack right here. So we're going to be needing to kind of tap that up with some aluminum weld. I've never done that before, but I do have my new torch that I got for the shop and some aluminum welding sticks, and I want to see how well that one might work. But we're going to clean this one out, and of course, in good old fashion with the big old Duramax, we got to do everything in Raptor bed liner because Raptor is just freaking awesome. So we got some special Raptor stuff to be able to use with this one also. So let's get this one all prepped up, cleaned up, and let's see what we can do about fixing the aluminum spot on it. Got the inside all swept out and everything. It's got some staining, but whatever on that one. So now for the first part of being able to fix our crack here in the aluminum, we need to make it as clean of a surface as we can, and we've got some sandpaper to kind of clean it all up. We'll get this one all scuffed up along here. You can see the crack kind of goes just right there on where that little end of the pinch is. And now I'm going to get something to space across here because all of this needs done is kind of pulled out there in this spot. So we're going to have that pulled out, and then I'm going to get the torch and see how easy this aluminum stuff is to work with. I've never done it before, so don't hate on me too much. I am not a professional in this one. I'm just trying to get this shit done, and this is the stuff I got off of Amazon. So let's see how it works out. After we got it all nice and clean, scuffed up, we've got some acetone here to make sure the surface is actually very clean. We don't want to have any kind of metallurgical bits and junk in there to mess up our weld and the heat and all. So all nice and cleaned up there. Now we're going to get something to space this and heat her up. You know, guys, not too horrible for my first time doing this one. A little globby, but you know, we'll grind off some of the edges of the little globs and stuff there. But it is holding, you know, kind of shaking back and forth, no cracks, or it seems pretty good. I found out when doing this, I would have to say less is more when it comes to using some of these aluminum rods. It globs up really fast and really quick. I found heating up the area and then just kind of dabbing it and pulling it through the open areas seemed to work best when working with this stuff. So next bit on prepping the box before we can do our Raptor lining. We do have some brand new hardware we're going to be using for this one. Old owner, he did not have the keys for these, so I ended up picking up this set from dogboxparts.com. It came with a new handle for that one, new handle for the other side, all the hardware in between, as well as the rod that goes between the two. So all new hardware for that one, so we need to get all those drilled out and kind of taped up and ready to go. Mr. Savage, you're sitting in the working area, bud. You got your hard hat on? No, Dad. Definitely don't. All right, I see how it is. So, all right, we're gonna get these drilled out, the rivets that hold that one in. We're gonna keep those chrome, I guess, with Raptor lining the rest of it. And then we've got to scuff up everything else and get it prepped for using the Raptor liner. Now today with this project, we're going to be using a couple of different new things that we haven't used before from Raptor bed liner. Of course, as you guys know, we have used the adhesion promoter before, and when using anything on projects that we're going to have a lot of heavy traffic to, like bed rails or any kind of, you know, toolboxes that we're going to be opening and closing and move around a lot, I make sure we want to use this adhesion promoter because I want the stuff to stick right the first time. It's also really important that you guys do all the prep work and everything like I've explained in the video, scuffing everything up, making sure it's all perfectly clean before you shoot, and that works the best. So we've got one coat of adhesion promoter that we're going to be putting onto it first. And then what we're actually going to be using for the coating is the Raptor 1K bed liner coating. So this stuff, unlike the last video where I did the bumpers on the truck, where you had to push the little red button to mix the two-part epoxy and I guess chemical compounds within inside of this one actually does not require any kind of two-part solution. This is a 1K solution. So one-time use in the can, and hopefully this one's going to work just as well. Now this one, we do have a little bit more free time in between uses, and you are able to use like half the can at a time. You don't have to use the full can and have to use it within the first hour and a half or else it goes bad. So you do have that luck on this one. Now the 1K solution is also going to be a little bit cheaper as well. So for you guys who are looking for a little bit more of an economic solution to some of the smaller projects, this might be the way to go. Like I said, I have personally not used this product before and picked up a couple cans of it, and we're going to see how well it works today. So we're going to get the adhesion promoter on here first, let it tack up for about 10-15 minutes, and then I'd like to do about 2 coats over this entire project of the 1K black bed liner coating. So let's see how much of this we're actually going to use.
Can't breathe these damn masks.
right, boys and girls, fast forward to the next day, and I have let everything cure all nicely overnight. Now, I ended up using 4 cans on this and didn't end up doing like 2 coats. I just ended up doing 1 big coat because I only had like 5 cans. So yeah, it took 4 full cans to do 1 good thick coat on the entire box. So that's kind of what I went for on this one, and it turned out actually really pretty nice. I was kind of worried when I was spraying it on there on how well it would actually texture, or, you know, lack thereof. You know, it was going on more like paint. I was having to get a lot closer than I originally thought. Originally, I was thinking, you know, we would sit back, you know, 18, 20 inches to spray it like regular Raptor. No, I found it was better to spray this one at like 8 or so inches away from it, about 6 to 8 inches away, and that gave us decent coverage, and it didn't cover nearly as much as I thought it would. Now, the pattern wise on this one, it actually came out in a pretty decent pattern. Let's see if I can get kind of close enough here for you to see the texture of it. It did texture up pretty decently, a little bit better than I thought it would, but not nearly as much texture as the 2K spray, and definitely not as much as the one that you put in the gun and do the full paint job and everything too. But it did actually turn out, you know, with some texture. I was worried that it wasn't going to have much of any texture at all, but it definitely did, and I'm pretty pleased with how it turned out. You know, it does show now that it has all these this nice paint on it and doesn't have shininess. It shows all the little dents and dings to it, the kind of the bend to the middle. You got a bend in this side that shows, but you know what? It's an older tank and toolbox. I didn't want to spend, you know, $1,000 or more on a really nice one. I only ended up getting this one for like $300, so I'm happy with how it turned out. Now we're going to get the new hardware on this thing and start working on getting it put in the truck. Now, I didn't want to make this video like a half an hour or 40-minute video on just putting the toolbox and fuel tank in, so we're going to split this one up into a 2-part series. This one was just showing you guys the prep and everything using the aluminum weld and the Raptor 1K liner, which I like how that turned out for the cost and effectiveness that stuff was. Now, this next week, we're actually going to be putting it in, and we're going to be hooking up to a pressure and filtration system. I'm going to show you exactly the stuff that I picked up for that. So here's the goodies that I'm kind of putting together, kind of piecing everything, what I need for this next part of the series. Going to have a 95 gallon per hour fuel pump from Mr. Gasket. I did want another fuel filter and water separator, so pick this one up from Caulfield. That one was pretty highly recommended, and a one-way check valve to make sure we don't have any of the fuel just going from the tank down into and overfilling the actual tank in the truck. Sometimes they can get some of that gravity feed going and they can just kind of run away. So we got the one-way shut-off valve. I don't know if this actually shuts itself off and seals, so that's why I got the shut-off valve for this one. Now, why are we deciding to go with that one? And well, honestly, it's because I really don't want a gravity feed system. When I have this 100-gallon fuel tank, I really want the thing to fill up, and I want it to fill up in a decent amount of time over to the truck, give us our mileage when we really want it. I don't want to have to sit there and wait half an hour, 40 minutes for that thing to trickle down the line into it. So next week, it's going to be pretty exciting. Get this thing into the truck, getting this system all hooked up, switched into the truck, get the filtration unit hooked up, and get everything all plumbed in. Now, we're also going to be featuring a really cool nifty tool this next week with our buddies over at Dime PSI. Dime PSI really has this awesome new kit called the Rattlesnake. It's able to help you guys custom fit any kind of pretty much -6, -10, -8, whatever it might be, AN lines. Custom make them and have them ready to go, shipped to you in a small amount of time. So it's going to be a cool one to check that one out. Make sure you guys stay tuned for that one. And with that, that's all I've got for you guys today on this one. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you turn on that bell notification. right down there, so you get notified when we come out with cool, awesome content just like this one here today. The Raptor stuff is going to continue coming along. If you guys like it, make sure you hit that like button as well. Thanks for tuning in today, guys. I appreciate it, and as always, you guys stay awesome.